And how are my listeners doing today? We're at chapter 21, verse 17 of the book of Job. How oft is the candle of the wicked put out, and how oft comes their destruction upon them? God distributes sorrows in his anger. Notes. Well, this is actually a question. Now, God at times does distribute sorrow upon the wicked, however, only at times. The real sorrow comes after death, when hell awaits them, and from that there will be no reprieve whatsoever. It's a rather sad state of affairs for the wicked. Verse 18, They are as stubble before the wind, and as chaff that the storm carries away. God lays up his iniquity for his children. He rewards him with evil, and he shall know it. Notes. Now, God, Job's opponents may say, punishes the wicked through their children. Job does not deny that the Lord may actually do so, but suggests a better course in the latter phrase. Now, judgment at times is sent by the Lord on the wicked. Oftentimes, in fact, look no further than Sodom and Gomorrah. Look at the wicked Ahab and what's that one king in the book of Matthew? His name escapes me. I think it was King Herod. He got turned into worm food, okay? So, yeah, I'll definitely cover that. Rather amusing story, really. Verse 20. His eyes shall see his destruction, and he shall drink of the wrath of the Almighty. For what pleasure has he in his house after him, when the number of his months is cut off in the midst? Notes. The wicked normally little care about the fate of their children. Okay? They just kind of wash their hands with it. I've seen that happen many times in my life. People just simply raising up children and not really caring where they're going. Our prisons are full because of that. Verse 22. Shall any teach God knowledge, seeing he judges those who are high? Notes. No matter how powerful a man may be on this earth, God is always going to be above him, is what he's saying. I mean, how in the world do you think you're going to teach God, who knows all things with the exception of a few things? Okay, he's always, he's going to be the judge, and he's going to have the final say on everything. Verse 23, One dies in his full strength, being wholly at ease and quiet. His breasts are full of milk, and his bones are moistened with marrow. Notes. Now, of course, we're talking about prosperity to wicked people. He's using a figure of speech to say that they have prosperity and they're full of great things. Verse 25, And another dies in his bitterness of his soul and never eats with pleasure. Notes. In other words, others have to suffer terribly before death comes to them, and their spirit is embittered by their misfortunes. Verse 26, They shall lie down in the dust, and the worms shall cover them. Notes. Irrespective as to how different the circumstances of their lives, men are alike in their death. They all die, and they become the prey of worms. You know, if a worm gets a hold of them, well, that's normally what happens. Verse 27, Behold, I know your thoughts and the devices which you wrongfully imagine against me. For you say, Where is the house of the prince, and where are the dwelling places of the wicked? Notes. Now, you have to keep in mind that the barb of this is directed against Job. And Job is saying, I know what you think of me, and it's wrong. Verse 29, Have you not asked them who go by the way, and do you not know their tokens? Notes. If they will admit it, they will have to agree that Job is right regarding what he has said about the wicked people. I mean, seriously, look at all the wicked people in our world nowadays that prosper. Like I said about the mafia, they do things that are pretty bad and somewhat, some of the things that they've done are legendary. But they still prosper. They're still there. You can still go to Las Vegas and still see members of the mafia. You just got to look for them. Or, better yet, don't do that. Verse 30. That the wicked is reserved to the day of destruction, that they shall be brought forth to the day of wrath. Notes. He's saying that irrespective as to what life the wicked may enjoy on this earth, destruction is going to happen to them unless they get right with God. Okay. Verse 31. Who shall declare his way to his face, and who shall repay him what he has done? Notes. Now, being castigated neither by God nor man, the wicked at times seem to enjoy complete immunity. I mean, it's like they can just do whatever they want to, when they want to, how they want to. And people are oftentimes jealous of wicked people who just seem to be able to get by with just about anything. Okay? Verse 32. Yet shall he be brought to the grave, and shall remain in the tomb. The clods of the valley shall be sweet unto him, and every man shall draw after him, as there are innumerable before him. Notes. They're going to pay their respects to him, whether he's in hell or heaven or whatever. Okay? Doesn't really matter. Verse 34. How they comfort ye me in vain, seeing in your answers there remaineth falsehood. Notes. I have a real problem with people who teach that due to a certain position, godly people will always prosper while the wicked always are afflicted and brought low. That's absolutely nonsense, okay? Sometimes wicked people prosper and sometimes wicked people don't. Well, sometimes very good people prosper and sometimes they really actually don't seem to get anywhere. But the chips are going to fall where they will, in heaven or hell, okay? God's going to see to it that justice is made. Chapter 22. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, Can a man be profitable unto God as he who is wise may be profitable unto himself? Notes. Now, Eliphaz, annoyed by the, I guess you could call it an introduction of inconvenient facts, he becomes abusive, and whereas his first two speeches he only hinted at Job's alleged evil conduct, in this, his last speech, he directly accuses Job of wickedness and wrongdoing. Now just watch it. Verse 3. Is it any pleasure to the Almighty that you are righteous, or is it gain to Him that you make your ways perfect? Notes. Now, in reply to what Job has just said about wicked people prospering oftentimes, Eliphaz advances the theory that man's goodness does not add to, nor man's badness take from, God's economy, and therefore God does not prosper some and afflict others for His own advantage. The cause, therefore, of such action must be found in men themselves, so Job's calamities clearly prove that he's done something wrong. Okay. Well, whatever. Verse 4. Will he reprove you for fear of you? Will he enter with you into judgment? Notes. In other words, the fact of your reproof is sure evidence of the fact of your guilt. Verse 5. Is not your wickedness great and your iniquities infinite? For you have taken a pledge from your brother for nothing, and stripped the naked of their clothing. Notes. That right there is a load of nonsense right there. I mean, it's unbelievable. Can you imagine what it was like for this man to have to be in this condition and have to listen to his so-called friends put him down with this kind of nonsense? That may have been one of the heaviest blows to have been to have dealt with. Verse 7, you have not given water to the weary to drink, and you have withheld bread from the hungry. Notes. He's openly accusing Job of the absolute worst types of sin, despite the fact that there's no proof. Okay? Verse 9. You have sent widows away empty, and the arms of the fatherless have been broken. Notes. Now, it's really just my kind of guess, but when your so-called friends conduct themselves in this fashion, it's probably a good indication that this has been in their hearts for quite a long time. They've been kind of searching for something to cause you a problem. Verse 10, therefore snares are round about you, and sudden fear troubles you, or darkness that you cannot see, and abundance of waters cover you. Notes. The judgment of God is coming down on you, and rightly so, so he says. Verse 12, is not God in the height of heaven? And behold the height of the stars, how high they are. Notes. Now here he's going to bring God into his denunciation of Job, and that right there is something really bad whenever people are trying to use the very word of God or God himself against a believer. That's not the way you're supposed to handle things. Verse 13, and you say, how does God know? Can he judge through the dark cloud? Notes. Now Job had never said any such thing, but it suits Eliphaz's purpose to malign and misrepresent Job. In other words, he's full of it. Verse 14, thick clouds are a covering to him that he sees not, and he walks in the circuit of heaven. Have you marked the old way which wicked men have trod? Notes. Now Eliphaz puts Job into the seed of Cain before the flood, who corrupted their way. You can find that in Genesis chapter 6, verse 12, and you'll understand a little bit more about what I'm talking about. He's saying that his sins are just so bad that it would, if there were more people like him, God would have to destroy the face of the earth in order to get things back into balance. Now, what kind of friend would accuse you of such wickedness? Verse 16, unbelievable. Which were cut down out of time, whose foundation was overflown with a flood. Notes, once again, talking about Genesis chapter 6, verse 12, he's saying that Job was so wicked that God had to wipe people like him out with a flood, of course. Verse 17, which said unto God, depart from us, and what can the Almighty do for them? Notes, he's continuing to place Job among the most vile people whom God had to destroy. Verse 18, yet he filled their houses with good things, but the counsel of the wicked is far from me. Notes, he's basically saying, even though those particular wicked people prospered, I will not have, Eliphaz says, any part with them. Thereby he's holding himself up as pious, as if that's going to do him any real favors. Verse 19, the righteous see it and are glad, and the innocent laugh them to scorn. Notes, he's basically saying that it is righteous for me to put you down, Job. Verse 20, whereas our substance is not cut down, but the remnant of them the fire consumes. Notes, he's saying that because I am blessed and you are cursed, this proves my statements to be true. Verse 21, acquaint now yourself with him, and be at peace. Thereby good shall come upon you. Notes, he's telling Job to repent once again of all this evil that he's done. Verse 22, receive, I pray you, the law from his mouth, and lay up his words in your heart. Notes, for Job to be insulted by Eliphaz in this manner must have been a very, very bitter pill to swallow. Rather nasty. We're going to have to pick up in chapter 22, verse 23 of the book of Job. Thank you, and God bless. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.